We are back in the black hole of real estate, and I wanted to use some time today to talk about new construction. This is your host, Ron Wojciechowski, for the black hole of real estate. And, new construction's been on my mind lately. There was a time over the last few years where the available homes inventory number was far below what was needed for the market. And I think that's leveling off to an extent. Builders are catching up. There's less of a wait time to get on a list to purchase a property. And I think that there's less homes being built, so there's more contractors to work on there, and we're shortening the timeline from inspiration to signing a contract to getting the thing built and closed on it. And so that's a real thing right now. So because there's a better opportunity to purchase something, today, there's ready move-in, ready homes, ready in 30, 60 days. There's custom builds that you can do that are timing out to 4 to 6 months instead of a year and a half. A lot is happening with it. It's really good. I know that the builders are doing a really good job of navigating the changes in the NAR lawsuit thing. And they're coming out and they're letting agents know what they will do with regards to that compensation piece. So that's been a pretty smooth transition. A lot of transparency between you just make a phone call and they'll tell you what it is, and you'll work out the documents with your client. It still allows you to work with the customer. So if you're a realtor or a buyer and you want the help of an agent, and I do suggest that you strongly consider having a representative of your own. That's representing only you. The builder reps, they work for the builder, so I always recommend you consider getting your own representative. But it's very simple, it's transparent. The builders are letting the agents community know what the offerings are, and the buyers are able to sign their agreements with an agent if they choose to do that. So that part has been pretty easy. And the representation piece allows that agent to go in there and do all the real estate work that they should be doing, and looking at floor plans and models and constructions, and if it's weekly updates, are they going to the site and taking pictures and sending it back to the client, especially if they live in a different area, or maybe they just work and don't have the time to get out there all the time to keep an eye on the build. Super important things. But with new construction being a viable opportunity, there's plenty of incentives out there right now. I know the lenders, if you work with a builder's lender, there's a number of opportunities for help with closing costs, or more importantly these days, buying down the interest rate. So using that preferred lender could get money back at closing to help with your closing fees, less money out of pocket at closing, but also buying down the rate for the first couple of years so that you have a lower payment. So if you have any interest or familiar with 2-1 buy downs, what they really do is there's a fee up front that allows the interest rate to be 2% lower in the first year, 1% lower in the second year, and then it goes to the normalized rate. So if your fictitious interest rate was 6%, the first year you'd actually pay 4%, second year 5%, third year goes back to the 6 and it stays at 6. If it was 7, the first year is 5, second year is 6%, third year is 7, and ongoing. At that point, many people might consider refinancing, selling the property, but you have cost certainty for the first few years. Now, the way that you get those lower interest rates, especially in new construction, is that you're going to buy it down. And there's a fee which makes up the cost of the interest for those first couple of years. And with the incentives, the builder may pay those for you. So if the builder is doing the buy down, you get the benefit of a much lower rate in the first couple of years, and chances are with your employer you'll make a little bit more money. Maybe inflation tapers off a little bit, but as you get more money in your paycheck, you should be able to graduate into the payment a couple of years down the road. You'll definitely see it coming, and it will allow you to move into the home, decorate, do the number of things that you want, maybe pay off some other debt in those first couple of years. Definitely take advantage of write-offs. There's a lot of advantages to doing it that way. The 2-1 buy down is not exclusive to new construction, but because the builders are readily offering these incentives, they're cooperating with agents and they're offering these incentives. New construction absolutely can be a good option for someone in this market. You have the opportunity to have everything new. Your insurance was likely going to be lower because it's going to meet all the new building codes. You won't have to replace a roof for, 15, 20 years anyways. All the plumbing and electrical. HVAC, those are all new, so all the big ticket items will not need to be replaced for many, many years. So along with that cost certainty on those items, you get a brand new house. So it's something to think about. It's not for everybody to go through a new construction build, but there are a lot of advantages. What's different, when things get super busy, the builders don't have to offer the incentives. There's a lot of competition. The list price is the list price. Sometimes it's going premiums. I've seen gigantic premiums, 5, 10, 20. I've seen $100,000 premiums on new builds if somebody wants to get into a very hot property, a hot desired neighborhood. Right now, because it's slowed down, the opportunity is different. So if you held off on making that purchase, or you just weren't able to, this could be the exact right time to look at new construction. Along the lines of new construction, if you like green features, if you want solar for the hot water, for the roof, for the electric, a number of builders are offering those readily. I would always caution you that if you're going to get into the solar game, just know what you're doing. Ask a lot of questions. Are you leasing? Are you buying the unit? Is it transferable? If it's being paid for over 10 or 20 years to add solar, whole house solar, is that something that the next owner could just take over the payments on it, or do you have to sell it as a package? And if you're going down a rental route, well, there's additional costs for the solar that the renter may or may not want passed on to them. So I would thoroughly examine the benefit of solar versus the cost and the implications once you make that purchase. Can you sell it, and if you end up taking this home and living it for a few years and then renting it for wealth building strategy, does that translate to something that the renter is going to want at that time? The answer could very well be yes, and it could be easy, but I would explore in new construction, if you're adding these things, let's make sure that you understand the implications of every decision that you make, and hopefully those are positive things and not consequences that would be tough to deal with down the road. So for new construction, here's what I would tell you. It's an opportune time to revisit a purchase. We're getting near the end of the year. Some builders will absolutely want to have sales on this year's tax returns, so to speak. So and I'm not saying there's a deep discount coming at the end of the year, but they have end of the year blowouts in appliances and cars and jewelry, and I'm sure that someone might want to have a few more sales on this year. If they're closing out a subdivision and there's only a couple of lots left, you may be able to take advantage of that. If it's a brand new subdivision, they may hold firm, but they also may want to give incentives to get the ball rolling. If they've got 60 lots and there's no sales over there, sometimes being the first person in might be a good thing. And speaking of the first person in, just understand, if you're the first one in and it takes a few years to build it out, you'll have construction, in your neighborhood ongoing, so you'll have to deal with the traffic, the equipment, the sound. If you're the last one in, it'll get a little quieter after you move in. So there's just a lot to think about beyond the bedrooms, the bathrooms, and the countertops and the flooring. All these other layers that come into new construction, super important. And I thought it was an opportune time to really dig a little bit deeper into this conversation, because for many, it was just pushed to the side. And I'll give you the top 2 reasons. Most people think that new construction costs too much and takes too long. And if it's brand new, then it's going to cost more than a resale because the resale's older. But if you factor in the true cost of the home and start adding back in how soon we'll have to put a new roof on, how soon we'll have to replace the HVAC and all the other things, and we'll have to repaint and upgrade the countertops and change out the kitchen and the bathrooms, that expensive, cost too much new construction home may be a relative bargain when you factor in the true cost of the home or what you're going to put in to the home in the first few years. As far as taking too long, I would agree that some homes may take a year between the planning and all the different inspections and the build itself and the materials. Could absolutely take a year. But there's move-in ready homes that are being built in production right now that you can purchase and close in 30 to 60 days, just like a regular home. So it doesn't have to take too long. So if your top 2 objections are cost too much, takes too long to do it. Maybe it doesn't. What's the worst that could happen? You run a parallel search. You look at existing homes that are available for sale, and you compare them to new construction, and you find out the cost benefit for each, which I think is a great conversation. So I hope this helped you a little bit with the opportunities that have reappeared in new construction that maybe weren't there the last few years, and we'll be watching. So if you got questions about how to approach new construction, or you'd like the help of an agent, find the one that specializes in there and make a great decision of your own representation. That's my 2 cents on that. All right, this is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.